Hey guys, we're back. It's been a while, but we've both been away doing a rather big project, which is a pastry competition, which I think a lot of you already know now what it is. It's on the TV. You guys have been watching it and supporting along each week, and we are so grateful for all of your support. It's been a blast, and we are so excited to be able to finally share it with you.
Yeah, it was a blast, but it was like all sorts of emotions.
Yeah.
It was ups, it was downs, it was fun, it was scary, and we learned so much. Like, we had so much to learn.
So much to
going
learn.
into it.
So many new skills,
Yes.
which we'd never even done before.
Yeah, we never thought we'd ever have to learn them, but we did. So we thought we would share some of those skills with you, seeing as we've now got them. So we thought we'd start with a recipe for these little guys. These little tarts that we came up with, we're calling them the Cereal Milk Tarts because that is what they are. And we're trying to use some of the things that we've learned along this crazy journey, I guess, but still sticking true to us, keeping it crumbs, which we think these are. So, yeah.
So, we're going to show you how to make these. And this is, I'll give you the lowdown, it's a pastry case, and then it's got a tres leches soaked sponge in there. It's got a really fresh, tart strawberry compote in the center and a brown sugar Italian meringue. And these guys are crunchy, multi-baked cornflakes that everyone loves.
How could we not get these and sprinkles into everything that we do?
Yeah.
So, should we show you how to make them?
Let's go.
Alrighty. Okay, so the first thing to say is that this kind of baking is involved. There are so many elements to it, so we've got a lot of it prepared so that we're ready to assemble. The first thing that we've got here are our pastry cases. Now, this is a really simple recipe. It's more like a biscuit, really, like a sablé kind of biscuit, but it's perfect because it doesn't shrink in the oven. So it's super simple to make. We're gonna start by mixing together some icing sugar and some cold, unsalted butter in the mixer. We're gonna mix them together on a slow speed. We don't wanna whip any air into it. We just wanna keep it mixing until the butter's broken down and becomes smooth. Once we've got there, we're gonna start adding some vanilla and then some egg yolk a little bit at a time until it's incorporated. Now, it might look a little bit weird at this stage, but just give the mixer a stop and a scrape and just keep going on a slow speed until it's come together. Then we're gonna add in the plain flour and again, mix it on slow until it's come together to a smooth dough. Give it a little knead by hand just to make sure you're happy that it's smooth and consistent before rolling it out between 2 silicone mats or 2 sheets of baking paper. It's a super, super sticky dough, so that's why we're rolling it out this way. We wanna roll it as thin as we can before popping it in the freezer for about 30 minutes until it's completely firm. Once it's chilled, we're then going to line our tart cases. I'm using these perforated tart rings. They've got little holes around the edges, which means the airflow gets right to the pastry and we get a beautiful even bake on them. We're going to chomp out the bases, put them on top of another perforated mat on top of a perforated baking tray. Again, this is all to get the airflow to get a beautiful bake. For the sides of the shells, we're just going to cut some strips and place them inside the tart rings and just smush the join together to make it seamless. Now, this pastry is really sticky and it warms up very, very quickly. So we're going to go back into the freezer for another 15 minutes just to firm them up, and then we're going to trim off the edges with a sharp knife. And now they're ready to bake at 170 degrees C for an initial 13 to 15 minutes. After this first bake, we're going to take them out, cool them down just for about 5 minutes until we can take them out of the tart rings and give them their first egg wash. So just a simple mixture of egg yolk and double cream. We're going to brush the insides and the outsides, and don't forget the rim as well. And then they're going to go back in the oven for 4 to 5 minutes until they're golden. And then we're going to take them out, cool them down again for another 5 minutes, flip them over and give them their second egg wash on the base and around the sides. And then we end up with these beautiful golden shiny tart cases. They're perfectly even, stunning if I do say so myself.
I can agree. Now, the next thing we're going to do to these tart cases is, because we're going to put a soaked bit of sponge on top of here, we want to kind of seal the tart case so that none of that moisture goes into the pastry and makes it all soggy. And just here, I've got some caramelized white chocolate with a little bit of cocoa butter in. It's quite liquidy, makes it easier to paint in between the tart case, because if you just melt caramelized white chocolate, it can be quite thick sometimes. And all I'm going to do is just get a paintbrush and just brush the inside with this chocolate mixture and make a nice layer. And then once you've painted the inside and the sides, don't forget to paint the rim of the tart case so that Sally can do the finishing touches.
Yes, so you know that we like sprinkles. We'll try and shoe on sprinkles into everything. So we've got some rainbow sprinkles here, and I'm going to dip the tart case in, and voila, we have sprinkles stuck to the edge. Now, the first time that we made these, I just left them like this, and Dane said, not neat enough. This is the general vibe of our team. I'm the organizer, and he's the one that makes stuff look good. So I am just gonna spend a little bit of time just sort of nudging them in, and I've even got me tweezers here to take them out of the middle and stick them on the edge. Yes, it's faffy.
So once the sprinkles are all around the edge of the tart case, now we're moving on to the sponge insert, which we already have baked here. Very thin sponge. This is basically our tres leches sponge recipe, which if you want to make an actual tres leches cake with the topping and everything, we'll put a link to that in the video, so you can click on that and get that recipe there. But this, we've baked it, it's a nice thin sheet, and all you need to do with that is just separate some eggs into the whites and the yolks, and then just using a hand whisk, just whisk the egg whites until they're nice and stiff. Then you want to slowly add in, I just did it in batches of 3, some caster sugar, and whip that until it's nice and incorporated, only for about 40 seconds in between each addition. And then we can move on to the egg yolks. So we're going to do the same thing, but now we're just going to put all the caster sugar into the egg yolks and whip it until it's nice and pale and thick. Then to this mixture, we're just going to add some vanilla extract and fold that in, and then add in our flour and fold that in again. Then to that, we're going to add a couple of tablespoons of whole milk. This will just loosen the mixture and make it easier to fold in the egg whites. I just added a little bit of egg white to the egg yolk mixture, folded that through to make it easier to combine the rest, and just do it in a figure-of-8 motion, kind of scraping through the bowl and cutting through it as well. Go nice and slowly because you don't want to knock all of the air out. Then I've got here a large baking tray which I've lined with some greaseproof paper, and I'm just going to spread the mixture evenly out into the tray, and then it's going to go into the oven at 160 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes till it's nice and golden brown on top. And then I've just got a small ring cutter here, whatever size tart case ring you used, just use the same size ring cutter that's a tiny bit smaller than the tart case, because the cake is going to swell once we soak it with the liquid. So I'm just going to chomp these out.
Lovely.
Pop them in here. They're nice and thin, which is exactly what we want because there isn't a lot of space in these tart cases. Just remember that. And
we're going to soak them in this milk. So this is our cereal milk mixture. Really simple to make, and of course uses our multi cornflakes, which we will be putting on top of the finished tarts. They're our favourite thing. Don't worry, they go on the show as well. We didn't go anywhere without our multi cornflakes. So to make this milk, we're going to start with the cornflakes. So just mixing together cornflakes, malt powder, salt, sugar and melted butter. Make sure that the cornflakes are completely coated in this mixture before spreading them out on a baking tray and baking for 10 minutes. Whilst the cornflakes are in the oven, we'll prepare the milk mixture. So this is tres leches, which means 3 milk. Condensed milk, we've got evaporated milk, and we've got regular whole milk as well. Just give those a little mix together, and then as soon as the cornflakes have baked, whilst they're hot, we want to pour half of them straight into the milk mixture. We want the cornflakes to be hot so that the flavour draws out of them and into the milk. So we're going to cover that milk with cling film and leave it overnight if possible so that the milk becomes really cereal milky. And once it's steeped, we're going to strain it, so remove those soggy cornflakes and you'll be left with this. So it's a beautiful sort of golden colour, really, and it tastes delicious, it's sweet, it's salty, it's malty, and we're going to soak our sponges in it. So I'm literally just going to pour it over.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. They've got a good soak going on there, but before we put them into the cases, we'll just flip them upside down to make sure that they are evenly soaked and they're kind of taking up the liquid, so they're sort of filling out a little bit.
Yeah, they're almost like swelling, like a sponge.
It is like a sponge.
Well,
Sponge
it is
cake.
a sponge cake.
Oh, wow. And now we're going to put them into the little tart cases. So plop them in and then just gently squish them down. So we don't want to waste any of this delicious milk. So we're going to pour it into a little jug and just top each tart case up. And the beauty of this sponge is that it just keeps on soaking up milk. So we're just going to keep topping them up a little at a time until the cake is fully absorbed, all the moisture, and we've run out of milk.
Next step is to make the brown sugar Italian meringue, which we're going to top these tarts with. So in this pan, I've got some soft light brown sugar and also some dark muscovado sugar. And I love using a combination of the two because the soft light brown gives like a kind of softer caramelly taste. And then the muscovado, because when you boil sugars and waters to make a sugar syrup, I feel like you kind of lose a bit of the intensity of the sugar flavor. So we've gone for the most powerful one, which is dark muscovado, to keep that intensity. And then when you add it to the meringue, it's just, oh, it's delicious. So into this, we're gonna add some water and just keep it on a medium heat. And we've also got some glucose as well. And this will just help to stabilize the meringue. And we're just gonna cook this down until it's a lovely sugar syrup. We want it to reach around 114 degrees before we then start whipping our egg whites. Once the sugar syrup has reached 114 degrees, then we want to put our egg whites into our clean bowl with a whisk attachment, get it whipping on a slow speed, just for a few seconds, just to create those small bubbles, then whack it up to a medium-high speed. We want to whip the egg whites until they're nice and frothy and foamy and white. And then once our sugar syrup has reached 118 degrees, we're going to take it off of the hob and pour it slowly down the side of the mixer. The last thing to do to finish off this meringue is just add a big pinch of sea salt, and I'm going to free pour this, but this is about a teaspoon and a half. Generously, look. The more vanilla, the better, in my opinion. So just go until you're happy, taste it, but that's it. And just look.
Oh my gosh.
At that. Oh.
Beautiful.
Thick.
Thick. I love the colour of it. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah, it's just a little bit, like more than just a plain white meringue, you know?
That's what we want. We want more.
Exactly. I'm just going to pop it in a piping bag.
Yeah, you pop it in a piping bag, and I'm going to get the last little bit of these tarts ready. So on top of our soaked sponge, and you can see how like the sponge has really absorbed all of that liquid. Literally my favourite thing about tres leches, you can just keep on pouring the milk. So on top of that, we're going to put a little strawberry compote. And when we eat these tarts, we want the compote to be really kind of gooey and soft. But in order for us to get that on top and inside the meringue, we have frozen it. So I've got some frozen here, but don't worry, they're not going to look like this once they've thawed. They're going to return to being more like a compote. So these are really, really simple to make. Starting off with some fresh strawberries, and now I've blitzed half of it with the hand blender to make a puree. Pop that into a saucepan and bring it to the boil. And then I'm just going to add in the rest of my strawberries, which I've diced really, really small, mix those through, and then add in some caster sugar and a really small amount of pectin. And the pectin is just going to give our compote a little bit of structure. So what all we need to do is make sure that the pectin reaches over 60 degrees C to activate, and then as soon as it's there, we're going to pour it into these little half-sphere molds and then whack them in the freezer until they are completely solid. And now that they have frozen overnight, they're really, really solid, which means I can pop them on top of the tarts, which looks, that's pretty funny. Dane can take them. Work your magic.
Yes. So, I've got my Italian meringue in a bag. Fitted with, this is a large round nozzle. This is a JEM3R. So I'm going to start at the edge and just go around using even pressure so we get a nice thick cylinder of icing, and just go up like that.
They are looking so cute already, but now just for their finishing touches, we've got our multi cornflakes here, which we've just crushed up a little bit, and I'm going to grab a handful and just pop them on half of our little tarts over the meringue. And then I'm going to pass it to Dane.
I've got the blowtorch ready, and I'm just going to torch just the half of the meringue that is exposed, just a little bit. Just like that, because what's meringue if it isn't torched? Right?
That is so true.
All that's left is to cut into these tarts. So I'm just going to heat up the knife because a heated knife always cuts through meringue a lot better. This is the last one we put on, so it will be the first one that we take off.
Oh, the milk oozing out. Love it. Oh, look! Yay!
Look at that.
That looks so cute.
All of those layers.
Yum.
You've got the strawberries and the soaked sponge, the really thin, crisp pastry case, and that brown sugar Italian meringue and the crunchy cornflakes.
And I actually love that the milk is kind of oozing out.
Yeah.
That is just like a tres leche cake. Like it should be super milky.
Super soaked.
Super moist.
Yes.
Oh, can we eat it?
Yes.
Can you cut me
Cut
in
another,
half?
yes.
Oh
that too
yeah,
big?
no, that's perfect. I'll have this bit. I can't down in one. Cheers. Cheers to us. Well done, us. The strawberry is the first thing that hits you, and because we only heated it for a little bit, we've kept all the freshness in there. It's not like a goo like we normally do where we make it all jammy. It is fresh, and it is beautiful.
It's delicious. And the brown sugar Italian meringue, I think because it's brown sugar, it's not super sweet.
Because it is like a lot of meringue, and you might think like, whoa, that's a lot, but it really doesn't taste too sweet at all. I mean, you know, if you've watched the show, we like sweet.
We do. We do like sweet things.
That is so delicious.
Balance everything out with a bit of salt. You're good to go.
Perfect. You're good to go. That is so yummy. Yum. That was fun.
Oh my gosh, that
I
was
really
so
enjoyed
fun.
it. And hope that you enjoyed seeing something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And we really want to, you know, we have learned so much new stuff that we want to share it with you guys.
Yeah.
In case you want to learn some of this weird and wonderful stuff. And maybe, just maybe, we might make some of these and put them in the shop at some time.
We should.
I think we should.
Yeah,
So
they
stay
look really
tuned. Make sure you're following us on Instagram and also on our Patreon as well. We'll put all of the recipes, like the ingredients, quantities, blah, 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 in the description box below, but also on our Patreon you can get downloadable versions of everything that we make on the channel. So make sure you're signed up to that. All the links are in the description box, so just go and check it out.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll see you again soon with another recipe.
Definitely, but like Dane said before, thank you so much to everyone that has been watching us and supporting us.
Yeah.
We couldn't have done that whole thing without you guys. You got us
100%.
through it, and we wouldn't have even been there in the first place without you, so thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Over and out. Love you. Let's eat more tart.
Yes.
Mm.